You're ready. Hi, Gavin, Preston here with client and friend Jason Hall of C3I Group at the Open, the Royal Open Golf Championship at the Royal Troon. And what I wanted to do is share with you some of the insights that Jason's got from the work he does here at the Golf Open, and where he's actually scaled his team in a short period of time from a team of 6 to a team of 95, and what's needed of that in terms of your thinking to be able to manage and coordinate and lead a team with so many moving parts with such a tight timescale. But first of all, Jason, just do you want to introduce yourself and what C3I Group are doing here at the Open?
Yeah, thank you. Jason Hall, the Managing Director of C3I Group. We're the appointed communications partners for the R&A for the Open Golf Championships around the country each year. We're responsible primarily for the fibre optic infrastructure, the Ethernet network IP infrastructure and telephony, and the on-course Wi-Fi, and then we take care of all of the IT and the AV and all the LED screens as well.
Fantastic. And so as I mentioned, your core team in terms of the business is a core team of 6, but you're actually now leading and managing a team of 95 people in subcontractors here on site. What fascinates me, as you know, is kind of the shifts that people make in their thinking to be able to step up and ramp up the game like that. What do you go through? What's your sort of process that you go through that's enabled you to make it? I'm sure it's not always smooth sailing, but to coordinate it and run it so well.
It's been a long process year on year, and it takes about 9 months of planning. And we break down everything that we do into segments. So as I say, we go through the fibre optic infrastructure, the overground, the Wi-Fi, the network, the televisions, the AV, the IT, and then all the customer requests and things as well. So I build up particular teams to look after each of those individual areas and expand from there as the situation requires as we get closer and closer to the time.
Fantastic. And what have been over the years sort of your key lessons around managing and leading people when you've got very tight timescales and things such as the weather that you can't control that can get in the way, and how do you keep everybody engaged, motivated?
The motivation is always the key thing. I think as long as I've got a happy crew, they'll do and pull out all the stops to do whatever they need to do. The weather always, in every Open Championship, plays its own part, is the easiest way to describe that, I think. And we just have to adapt and get on with it and maintain a timeline, and that's always the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and as you stand back over the experience over the years that you've been providing this communications infrastructure for the Open, what have been sort of key learnings and key lessons that you've had that enable you to do such a good job for the R&A now?
It's working to collaborate with all the other contractors on site. There's some 2,000 contractors who build the Open in the background, and the biggest thing that we learn over the years is it's key critical to actually integrate with them and understand their timelines against your timelines to learn how everybody can work together. And the carpets can't go down till the cables have gone underneath, and therefore the furniture can't go on the top before the screens go on the walls, and everything has a knock-on effect.
Yeah, if only the utility companies would learn that with their digging up roads and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so what you've got to make sure is everything is done really smoothly, really seamlessly. So I just want to give a little bit of insight to how far back in the past in terms of you were doing work here in the Troon in order for it to be all happening and working well today?
On average, it's about 3 years.
Yeah.
We're looking ahead 3 years to the new venues and trying to get the fibre optic infrastructure under the ground in enough time that we can allow it to recover to become a championship course.
Fantastic. You were just explaining a little bit about all the thinking and planning and that went behind the big screens over there. I don't know whether you can actually see the big screens. You just want to explain a little bit about some of the structural engineering and the water ballast that sits behind that big screen?
Yeah, so historically we've always had a mobile LED screen come in, which are fantastic and very practical. However, coming in at the very last minute is always a danger of damaging the spectator village. So this year we tried to integrate 2 or 3 different screens into one main structure. Came with its own set of challenges, having a structure big enough to house that much LED. We've got a fascia of 240 square metres this year.
Wow.
So in amongst all of that comes up with 38 tons of ballast. There's 22,000 litres of water holding the whole thing down.
Wow.
And we had to bring in a structural engineer just to sign it off for safety, for the sake of the Open and the R&A.
Yeah, but great to see so many fans on an amazing day like today, really enjoying it, and the benefit of all that work that you've done over the last 3 or 4 months in the background, working out how on earth you're going to make this happen.
Yeah, it's quite nice to see when it all comes live, definitely.
Yeah. But also a pinnacle in terms of the C3I Group's sort of calendar of events. It must be a huge moment of pride when eventually opening day one, everything's working, moving smoothly. It's been a moment of pride for all the work of the team.
There's been a lot of blood, sweat and tears go into it, and it's always the first live day is the equivalent of the curtains up in the theatre, so it's a great feeling. Yeah, definitely.
That's great. Well, Jason, thank you very much for inviting us up here today to experience this, to see a bit behind the scenes. Fascinating as it's been to see behind the scenes of what goes on with all the work. We've had a look into some of the TV production aspects, the meter, all the cabling that's been there, and it's been fantastic in some of the boxes and stuff, all the trickery and pokery that goes on behind the scenes. But it's just been really fascinating to see how, from the spectator side, and then how it is different from behind the scenes and all the work that's gone. So Jason, thanks very much for inviting us here.
Pleasure.
And thanks very much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Cool.